Part 1. You will hear a man asking a colleague for restaurant recommendations. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Hi, Sophie. I'm trying to organise a meal for my parents' anniversary. You know the restaurants around here really well. Any ideas?
Yes, I definitely suggest the Copper Spoon.
Oh, where's that exactly?
It's on Melrose Avenue, only about 2 minutes from the train station, so you won't need to drive.
That's handy. What sort of food do they do?
If you're into seafood, it's probably the best place in town. Really fresh, lots of choice.
Is it expensive?
A bit, but for a special occasion, it's fine. And before dinner, you can go up to the rooftop terrace for a drink. It's very popular, so book early.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
Great, thanks. Any other suggestions?
Well, if you want something more casual, try La Pena.
Where's that?
It's in Willow Street, next to the Modern Art Museum. It's a Spanish restaurant with lots of small dishes to share.
Nice, that would suit our group.
Yeah, it's lively and friendly, but they ask for a £45 deposit when you book.
Do they have vegetarian options?
Only a few, so you'd best to check the menu first.
Right, good to know. Any final suggestion?
Yes, the Skylark.
How do you spell that?
Skylark. It's at the top of the Riverside Hotel near the Old Bridge.
Oh wow, the view must be amazing.
It is. The chef is quite famous from television and the reviews are outstanding. They also use only local ingredients. You can get this set lunch for £32 per person. Very good value for somewhere like that.
Sounds perfect. Thanks so much for your help.
That is the end of Part 1. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to Part 1.
Part 2. You will hear a marine biologist, Dr. Karen Doyle, talking to a group of volunteers about a coastal conservation program. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining our Coastal Conservation Project. I'm Karen Doyle, and I'll be guiding you today. Before we go out onto the beach, I'd like to tell you a little about what we're doing and why. Coastal cleanup and research might sound modern, but in fact, communities have been protecting shorelines for centuries. What's different today is the sheer volume of waste and the number of endangered species. This coastline is especially important because it's a feeding ground for migratory birds and also supports a rare type of seagrass, which acts as a nursery for young fish. Without it, many species would struggle to survive. Some people sign up because they've read about wildlife declines and want to feel they're doing something useful. Others are simply curious or hope to learn new skills they can use in other areas. Personally, I find that spending time on the beach collecting samples clears my mind. You can forget about deadlines and traffic for a while. It's certainly exercise, but the peace and focus are what I value most. Today, we'll show you some basic surveying techniques. Then we'll collect litter and water samples. Later, we'll identify any microplastics in the lab. For many of you, I imagine this is the first time you've tried hands-on fieldwork, so we'll keep it simple. Before we head outside, a few reminders. If you're wearing jewelry, please take it off and put it somewhere safe. Tie back long hair and check your footwear is sturdy but washable. The sand can be muddy and sharp shells are common. We provide gloves, but it's better if your clothes are old, not your best ones.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
On the tables behind you are some of the main tools we'll use. You'll see handheld GPS units. These help us mark the position of each survey point accurately. Next to them are sample jars. Please don't buy your own yet. We have plenty for everyone. There's also a new water quality testing kit. It's quite robust, but please handle it with care. It's expensive. Finally, we have a couple of digital microscopes connected to laptops. These let you see microplastics in real time, but they're delicate and can be tricky to use.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to Part 2.
You will hear two students, Liam and Chloe, discussing their assignment on modern architecture. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Liam, I'm a bit lost on where to start with this architecture assignment. Should we focus on a specific architect or style?
I was thinking we could start by looking at some key design principles. It might be easier to organize our ideas that way.
That makes sense. Let's list some out. First off, what about sustainability? It's a huge topic these days.
Yes, it's definitely an important trend, but I think it might be too broad for a short paper. We could get lost in all the different ways buildings can be green.
Okay, good point. How about something more specific, like the use of materials? We could compare traditional materials with new, innovative ones.
That's a great idea, actually. I remember the professor mentioned how modern builders are always looking for new materials, and that's often a challenge. The cost can be a huge issue.
True. What about functionality? I find it fascinating how a building's design can affect the way people use a space.
It is interesting, but I feel like it's hard to measure. How do you really quantify whether a space is functional or not? It seems a bit too subjective for our assignment.
You're probably right. How about the aesthetics then? The visual appeal of a building?
I think we should be careful of that. What one person finds beautiful, another might not. It's a very personal thing. Our paper needs to be more analytical, less about personal taste.
Fair enough. What about something related to social impact? How buildings can either bring communities together or divide them?
That's a strong idea. It's a very relevant topic, and we could find some great case studies on it, both positive and negative. It's also something that's easy to research.
Perfect. Let's go with that.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
So, for our research, we should look at some specific examples. What do you think of that new community center near the park?
The one with the strange roof? I'm not a big fan of the look, but it was designed to be a meeting place for all sorts of local groups, wasn't it? It seems to have a good social purpose.
It does. And what about the new residential skyscraper downtown?
It's meant to be a showcase for modern living. I've read about that. It's really tall, but from what I heard, it's been pretty controversial. It was meant to be affordable housing, but the prices turned out to be far too high for most people.
That's a shame. It doesn't seem to be helping the community at all. Then, what about the new university building on campus?
Oh, the lecture theater. It's huge. The professor said it was designed to be as eco-friendly as possible, with solar panels on the roof and a lot of recycled materials. It's supposed to be a great example of sustainable design.
That's a good example for our caper, definitely. What about that old warehouse on the edge of town that was turned into apartments?
You mean the one that kept the original brick walls? I think that's a great example of repurposing. It's not a new building, but it shows how old structures can be given a new lease on life, and it's become a really popular place to live.
I agree. And it's so much better than just knocking the old building down and building something new. Okay, I think we have some really good case studies to look at now.
Part 4. You will hear a lecturer talking about the history of the postal system. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40. Good morning, everyone. Today, we're going to delve into the fascinating history of the Postal Service, a system that has fundamentally changed how we communicate. The idea of a formal communication network dates back to ancient civilizations. In Persia, for example, messengers on horseback, known as Angari, would travel between cities delivering messages. This system was so efficient that a message could travel an incredible 250 kilometers in a single day. One of the most famous early postal systems was the Cursus Publicus of the Roman Empire. This was a state-run service that used a network of relay stations and was primarily for government use. It was remarkably fast, with messengers riding in carts pulled by horses, and was key to keeping the vast empire connected. By the time of the Roman Republic, they even had a form of early stamps, or at least a way to mark that a letter was official. The Middle Ages saw the decline of these official systems in Europe, but the Renaissance brought about a renewed interest. In the 15th century, a new method emerged, especially in places like Italy, for sending private correspondence. This was largely handled by universities and merchant guilds. They created their own small, private networks to ensure letters could be sent between students and merchants. These systems were often more reliable than the remnants of the old state-run systems. During the 17th century, many countries established official postal services to serve the public. These were often run as monopolies by the government. In Great Britain, a major step forward was the introduction of the penny post in 1840. This was a revolutionary idea. For the first time, a letter could be sent anywhere in the country for a flat rate, regardless of distance. The payment was made by purchasing a small adhesive stamp, which was a new invention. This made the postal system affordable for everyone, not just the wealthy. The postal system continued to evolve with technology.
The invention of the train in the 19th century allowed for mail to be transported much faster over long distances, connecting towns and cities more effectively. Then came the aeroplane, which completely changed the speed of international mail. Today, of course, the Postal Service has to compete with instant communication like email and messaging apps. As a result, many postal services have adapted by focusing on parcel delivery for online shopping, with some even using drones for local delivery. It's a system that has constantly had to reinvent itself to stay relevant. That is the end of part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to part 4